Happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of the Sneak Preview, a Filmgazm Productions podcast that follows the current film calendar. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
I'm Austin Johnson.
And today we got a whopping 5 movies to talk about. Our main course is Don't Breathe 2, but we're also going to bring up Free Guy, Respect, Apple TV's CODA, and Netflix's Beckett. But before we get into all of that, let's see what happened last week in film. Last week in film. First up, we got 3 trailers to discuss. First up, Small Engine Repair, starring John Bernthal, Shea Whigham, and John Polono. 3 old friends meet up at a repair shop with mysterious motives, based on a play by John Polono, comes out September 10th. And there is no IMDb plot synopsis for this, which is weird because it was a play. It's not like it's a secret. And it seems kind of 3 friends meet up because of a tragedy and they decide to go after the guy responsible for the tragedy. That's the vibe I got from the trailer, but not really sure. But I'll watch anything John Bernthal's in.
Yeah, same. I'm looking at this on IMDb now. John Bernthal and Shea Whigham are both character actors I really, really like. And they seem to just kind of pop up in everything. Yeah. So to see them in the same movie, because they usually are that guy in whatever movie they're in. So to see 2 that guys in the same film, it's going to be cool. Yeah, has a good poster. We talked a lot about posters yesterday on Oscar Sunday. The cast seems good enough. I would like to check this out.
Same here. September 10th. Seems like it's going to be a limited release film. Probably end up on like Prime to rent within the next few weeks, but we'll see. Next up, Worth, a biopic starring Michael Keaton, Stanley Tucci, and Amy Ryan. It tells the story of an attorney who struggled to ensure the victims of 9/11 earned proper compensation. It's Netflix on September 3rd. So this is the story of the 9/11 Victims Fund. And I don't know if that's worth a movie, but I guess we'll see. It's Michael Keaton and Stanley Tucci. I'm not going to turn that down.
Yeah. And Michael Keaton and Stanley Tucci both appeared in Spotlight, a movie that definitely tackled some tough stuff. And they both have the ability to kind of play, especially at their age now, they can both play a doctor, a lawyer, a reporter of some sort. It's just super believable. They both kind of know their way around making a movie entertaining. So this is something I definitely want to see. Max Bornstein, he's the guy who wrote Godzilla vs. Kong and Kong Skull Island. So this is obviously a much different pace. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you write a King Kong movie and a Godzilla movie, and you obviously follow that up with a 9/11 movie. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, for sure. And it's directed by Sarah Colangelo. Looks like she has a small resume of kind of, indie films. So you just never know here.
Well, according to the film, I don't know how accurate it's going to be in terms of, adapting a real life story. There's always some cinematic leeway with biopics. But in this one, apparently the 9/11 Victims Fund assigned a certain number to each victim, and some were worth more, some were worth less, which is incredibly fucked up. Yeah. And this movie talks about how the guy who was told to assign those numbers apparently fought back. So, and that's Michael Keaton, and Stanley Tucci plays the father of one of the victims, I think. Yeah. And helps him kind of figure this system out. It looks intriguing.
And Amy Ryan's just there, in the office next to Michael Keaton. Hey, can I help? And then, then chaos ensues. Yeah, no, I'll check this out. Probably it's on Netflix. So if
I remember the trailer correctly, I think Amy Ryan's the bad guy.
Oh, Jesus, that's pretty intriguing.
Yeah, I might be wrong. I only saw this trailer once, and it was like 3 days ago. When it comes to Netflix movies these days, now that I'm actually paying attention, I'm not. I don't really see a lot in them. There's so many of them. It's quantity over quality, big time with Netflix. And we're going to talk about that today with Beckett. But I don't know. I hope this one works out. I want it to be good.
Yeah. That's definitely the desire with these clearly, good sized budgeted movies that are going on to Netflix with decent production, got some random writer, some random director, and your hope is, hey, this is going to pan out. But like you said, about 6 or 7 times out of 10, you just get kind of sludge.
Yeah, it's like I feel like if I just pulled a movie idea out of my ass tomorrow and ran into a Netflix executive, I could get that shit made in 2 months.
Yes, let's do it. Yep, you're not wrong.
Finally, and this looks exciting, Prisoners of the Ghostland, starring Nicolas Cage and Bill Moseley. The best way I can describe this movie is Akira Kurosawa's Mad Max.
Yeah. For looking at just what's happening here, I haven't seen any of these trailers, but just looking at kind of the IMDb page, and this guy Sion Sono, the director, Japanese director, all these movies I have not really heard of at all that are on his resume. This is really intriguing. When Nicolas Cage at this time in his career decides to do something, it actually raises our eyebrow now. He went through a stage there where I think he was making really poor decisions with his roles, but right now I've been loving what Nicolas Cage is choosing and what he's kind of adding to his resume. So I hope this is just another good one from that bunch.
It wasn't so much poor decision making for those years. It was more like in Bruce Almighty, where he just accepts all the prayers and he's like, all right, I'm done. Don't have to think about it anymore. That was Cage. He's pretty much just like, all right, that's all the money I'm going to need for the next year. Let's do this. And now, thankfully, he does get to be choosy again. And he personally called this movie the most insane project he's ever worked on, which, I mean, that says a lot.
Yeah. It's an action horror thriller movie. Nicolas Cage saying this is nuts. Yeah, I'm in.
I mean, you got Bill Moseley as like a post-apocalyptic warlord. I mean, Caleb was freaking the fuck out about this. He's a big Bill Moseley fan.
That's fantastic. That's good to hear. It's not too far away, about a month away from right now.
September 17th.
Yeah, 17th. So I'm sure that'll be just theaters, and it looks like it'll be a blast.
I wish we got more breathing room with these trailers, though. We keep getting trailers like 2 or 3 weeks before release. I don't like that.
Yeah, it definitely is much different. I don't watch a lot of trailers anyway, but I am used to seeing something 6 months out, and then being like, seeing the second trailer and then seeing, a teaser and then bam, you finally see the movie. So it's much different right now. This year, is a lot of catching up, a lot of catching up to do and figuring out a lot of movies that would have gone into theaters over the past year or so that are just, we got to find a home. I think a lot of the movies we talk about that we bring up, something like Beckett, it's like, what do we do with this? And you got to eventually you have to make a decision, and now we're seeing that with so many movies at once. It is convoluted as hell. And we've talked about this before, where it's hard to kind of keep up in a way that you feel like these movies are an event. You feel like you feel like the movie comes out, then you really talk about it, really think about it for the next week, and then move on to the next one. It feels like, well, you're watching 4 movies in one weekend just to keep up with all these new releases and today's a great example. Apple TV, HBO Max, theaters, Netflix, it's all these different things that you have to pay for. And it's hard to hold one of them with like importance. It's like they all kind of run together at that point. And it definitely is interesting to think about. I try not to get too negative about it or too cynical because it is where movies are going. It's where entertainment's going. At least for some, not for all movies, but some.
Dude, with Beckett, like per my Letterboxd, that is the 80th release of this year that I have seen.
I've seen like 30. Yeah. Yeah.
And of those 80, maybe 15 of them were good and worth talking about, like worth mentioning and worth revisiting. That sucks. And yeah, this podcast has pointed me a little bit more towards the cynical, simply because now I am seeing everything, and I'm seeing a lot of repetition, and that sucks. I'm seeing a lack of originality out there that I've never really noticed before. I've talked about it in the past, but I've never really understood it the way I do now. And I kind of hate that. But, you know, it is what it is at this point. This is August. We've been doing this podcast for 8 months. This is going to happen. I'm sure that next year's bunch is going to just push me even further down that path.
Yeah, it causes you to think for like your own personal enjoyment of watching these movies and kind of taking them in and processing them, digesting, however you want to look at it. I think for myself, I couldn't do what you do with this show and with the consumption of all those movies, because I simply don't have the time. I have a 2-year-old who will start screaming if I'm watching Beckett, so it's like, well, I guess I'll watch some kids movie. So she'll be quiet. That happens a lot, where maybe I'm trying to watch something that she's just not going to let me, because she wants to scream and yell. And that's better for me. I'd rather hear her scream and yell than watch Beckett. So well, you know what I'm saying? Like, people obviously people are not insane about movies like we are. Some people are. Hopefully people who listen to this show are. But it's even when you are obsessed, there's like a sacredness to it that you want to hold, and that you've been used to, especially for myself. I've been used to for years, going to the theater, seeing this film. That's what I saw. No matter what happened, there's no going back. There's no pausing. There's no rewinding. It's you go and see the film, and you have to like fucking live with it for however long until you go back to the theater, and that either sets you up for big time disappointment, like Don't Breathe 2, or it can be like a moment you'll never forget, like you and I seeing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood together, seeing a Tarantino film together, because his films don't come out every year. So you and we became friends, in 2018, 2017, 2018, somewhere in there. And so being able to see his movie in theaters together, I'll never forget that. And that's what you want as a big movie fan, or just as a neutral, kind of borderline movie fan who just kind of occasionally, will pop something on. You want it to be something you remember, that impacts you, whether it's, negative or positive. And with all this stuff that you just are just keeping up with, it kind of makes that gray. It makes it hard to find that, to latch on to something like, oh, this is exciting. It's like, oh, fuck, I got to watch HBO Max and Netflix and Hulu and Apple TV. And then I got to go to the theater. And I'm sure for you really remember those theater experiences. I know you got to see Free Guy. Yeah. I'm sure that was a lot more fun than watching Beckett at home, like that's just the truth.
Well, having to watch, 5-6 new releases during a span of 3 days, it certainly dilutes the experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, between the four of us, like, to maintain this podcast is so much more work than Filmgazm and Oscar Sunday. This thing is a beast that can get out of control so quickly. And I have realized that between the four of us, my time is considerably less valuable than you three. I am well aware of that. I don't have kids. I don't have a very serious job. I have so much time on my hands. So I'm sacrificing the majority of my time to maintain this show, because somebody has to see these movies. Somebody has to talk about them. And I have decided to be that martyr. So you're welcome.
No, Caleb, Josh, and I, Andrew, Juwan, I know Brianna's been on this particular show a few times. We all have nothing on you. We've all seen just a handful of movies from the year. I know Caleb's been on the show the most since its existence. Sorry. I think he can probably attest to the movies being diluted a little bit, where it's like, holy shit, like,
yeah,
this becomes, I really need this to stand out so that I can be excited about it.
Well, he decided to do the same thing I was doing, which is see as much as possible. with you and then with him at the beginning, I was like, just pick one and we'll make that the main focus. And Caleb's decided to see as much as he can. And I have to tell him, like, whenever he starts like being like, oh God, I got to watch this. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, we can stop here.
Yeah.
And then I'll take the rest of it. But he's like, no, I'm doing this. So good on you, Caleb. You're a trooper.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's just, it's something I think about with this show. Like I'm not going to lie. I do have moments where I'm like halfway through a piece of shit. I'm thinking like, is it worth it? Like, is this worth my time? Like, am I doing this right? But then I'll watch a really good movie and I'll be like, yeah, it's totally fucking worth it. So it's really kind of an ebb and flow thing. And there's certainly, like, this week, way more good movies than bad movies, in my opinion. Like, the overwhelming majority of what I saw was really good.
Yeah. And that's ultimately what you're looking for, right? Is for something to pop. And that's what we all want. We all want something to just kind of hold on to. I could talk about it and think about it forever. This the state we're in and what it takes to keep up, and I wonder sometimes if sneak preview was just one film every week, how it would shape the way you've kind of viewed things and how you would choose things, super interesting.
Yeah, it is. That was kind of the original plan, was pick one per week, but there were so many movies that were like, big stuff coming out twice a week. And we didn't want to leave out the, one movie from the discussion. So I just said, well, fuck it. I'll, pile it on, put it on my back. I'll carry it. Yeah. Here we are. But, anyway, moving on before we get too depressed.
State of the movie world. Yeah.
We've got, Venom, Let There Be Carnage has been postponed to October 15th, the same day that Halloween Kills comes out.
Jesus.
I get the postponement. That was the wrong date.
Yeah, I agree. I think Halloween is one of the few movies that has, a like unrelenting fan base that's going to find their way. And that's, I like Don't Breathe doesn't quite have that, but like Halloween has that, kind of generations of people that care about it a whole lot. So yeah, I agree. Wrong date, especially when your first movie didn't really land that well with people. You want to make it work.
It didn't land with critics, but people loved it. I mean, it was an $800 million grosser.
Yeah. I feel like you and I are the only people I've ever met that actually like that movie.
Really? That's unfortunate.
It sucks. I feel like most people I meet are just like, oh yeah, that movie happened. I'm like, oh, I kind of liked it.
I thought Venom was decent. Like, for what, it was a bare bones movie, but for what it was, I thought this could have been so much worse. And I think it's entertaining. I mean, what more do you want?
Me too. I love the cast.
Yeah. I'll follow Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams into hell. I don't care. I love both of them so much.
Yeah. And Riz Ahmed, he's awesome. Yeah.
So this new one, I'm excited about it. I just think it was really stupid to move it to Halloween Kills. People, the people who want to see Halloween Kills did not get it last year, and now they're fucking foaming at the mouth. So, like myself, and I think you as well.
For sure. It's been 3 years since that awesome one came out, and I'll never forget that. That's what I'm talking about. That's an experience. Brianna and I went, and I'll just never ever forget how excited I was and how it not only met my expectations, but kind of went through the roof. Such an awesome film. So yeah, we've been waiting. We're ready.
I'll never forget all this, like how Draft House pulled out all the stops for Halloween. They had, Nelson walking around in the fucking Michael Myers costume, just
so good,
leering in hallways, scared the shit out of me several times. Like, it was an event. Halloween was an event. And I hope we get a piece of that again with Halloween Kills. I hope we do get to see it, first of all. And I just think Venom doesn't have a chance now, which I never would have thought. Michael Myers is going to fuck him up.
I agree. I think a lot of things, go into play, and you already have your expectations. Okay, you're not making 800 million like you did the first time, so lower your standards a bit. With Halloween, it's like, hey, we're trying to make 100, 200, we're good.
Horror has stayed afloat this year. Like, it's been pretty cool.
Even Don't Breathe has basically made its money back already. Well,
Well, when your movie costs $15 million, you can make that back in a weekend.
Exactly. Bang, bang.
Beautiful. Speaking of good news, John Lithgow has joined the cast of Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, joining Leonardo DiCaprio, Brendan Fraser, and Robert De Niro, among others. This is shaping up to be quite the spectacle.
Yeah. Every name I read, I'm just kind of blown away. And this is the kind of thing where it will be an event. In my mind, I will watch Scorsese movies for those 2 weeks leading up to it. That's just kind of, that's kind of what I like to do. And I'm very excited for that. That's how I'll be when French Dispatch finally comes out, and I'll be watching Wes Anderson movies the 2 weeks leading up to that, and just kind of living in Wes's world. That's one of my favorite things about creating that event in my head and building it up to this place of, all right, here we go. Finally get to go see it. Yeah. And that's a special moment.
I think, with Killers of the Flower Moon, I think I might finally use this as an excuse to just wipe the rest of the Scorsese films off my list that I need to see. There's only a handful.
Me too.
Mean Streets, Boxcar Bertha, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, The Age of Innocence, Bringing Out the Dead. And that might be it, I think. But yeah, there's only at least a week's worth.
Yeah.
Cool. I can't wait for that. And I'm so glad that Fraser's getting a chance to be back on top. And did you see that interview where he broke down in tears because he didn't realize just how many fans he had?
Yeah. He had no idea that we're right here. We've been here for the past 20 years.
I love him. I'm so glad he's getting another chance.
Me too.
Here's one we'll probably talk about for less than 20 seconds. Idris Elba will be voicing the character of Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, set for release April 2022. I don't care.
Cool.
I didn't grow up with Sonic the Hedgehog. I didn't see the movie. I like Idris Elba, but I don't know who the fuck Knuckles is. So
Knuckles is the I think he's red. I don't know. He's like the tough one because there's Sonic, his little buddy, and then there's Knuckles. It's like those three. That's why, yeah. Who cares?
I'll give Sonic the Hedgehog credit for finally being a successful video game movie and kind of blazing the trail for Mortal Kombat and whatever else is coming out. So thanks for that. And I probably will watch it eventually. But as of now, I know next to nothing about Sonic the Hedgehog. And yeah, sorry. Ryan Reynolds has announced that Disney wants a sequel to Free Guy, which exceeded expectations this weekend and defeated the Suicide Squad to win the box office, which Suicide Squad was so fucking good. I thought better than Free Guy, but I get the appeal. You can't take your kids to an R-rated comic book movie, but you can take your kids to see Free Guy.
Yeah, and Ryan Reynolds is in that rare air where he's like a total movie star now. He's never quite been that. He's always been kind of niche, and obviously there was like a point in time in his career where he was doing like Van Wilder and Just Friends. I love Just Friends, but
yeah, me too.
But you know what I mean. There. And then of course when he did Deadpool, it just changed everything for him, and now he can kind of be the lead in a big time successful movie, whether it's rated PG-13 or R. I think he has that charisma and the ability to just kind of light people up, so it doesn't surprise me that Free Guy did really well. That's one of the films that I've actually heard some of my friends, including you, say, I'm going to see this, like going to actually go to the theater and check this out. And that just doesn't happen very much anymore.
Yeah, it sucks. I didn't want to think this, but I am starting to think, the theaters might be a bit of a niche now.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's crazy. It's like, it's like that feeling when, you realize somewhere in the, late 2000s, you're like, holy shit, CDs are going they're like done. What's happening? I love CDs. I think they're great. I love collecting them. They're still something I keep my eye on. But it feels similar. It's like, wait a minute, is this really happening?
A lot of people are saying that about Blu-rays now. And I refuse. I'm in absolute fucking denial about that. I bought 2 Blu-rays today, Spiral and an Addams Family double feature, and I'm going to buy more tomorrow. God damn it.
Yeah, no, I don't ever want to stop being able to collect movies and buy movies and share movies with people. So yeah, I don't ever want to not be able to do that, because when in doubt, if you got a TV and a fucking DVD player, you're set. I'm set for life with my collection, just kind of watching movies through a DVD player. So I love having that. I love having that kind of, that experience is in itself really cool, because when you put a DVD in, you've chosen, this is what I'm doing. With Netflix and all these other things, you can back out so easily, and then you're just out of there. You're just, oh, fuck it. No, I don't want to commit to this. With a DVD, you're deciding this is happening. This is what the next 2 hours are going to. And I love that.
I made a pact once that I am not allowed to back out of any movie I turn on. It's been hell, but I have honored that pact for 7 years.
Yeah, Christ.
This one I'm upset about. Ellie Kemper and Kenan Thompson have joined the upcoming Home Alone remake for Disney Plus, currently titled Home Sweet Home Alone. They join Archie Yates, Rob Delaney, and Pete Holmes, among others. The film hits Disney Plus on November 12th. This is going to fail so hard. You don't need a Home Alone remake. Nobody wants a Home Alone remake. Everyone still loves the OG Home Alone. Who is this for? Nobody.
What is this called? Home Sweet. Wait, what?
Home Sweet Home Alone. I think on IMDb it's still just listed as Home Alone.
Okay, yeah, I'm about to look at it now. I didn't know this was happening at all.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of this? Dan Mazer. Poster's nice and old school. Dan Mazer, what has he done? The Ali G Show?
That's odd. Those two flavors don't mix.
He's like a Sacha Baron Cohen partner. He wrote both the Borat movies, or helped write both of them. The Ali G Show. Yeah, interesting.
Dan Mazer, you said?
Yeah.
I just keep thinking of Mazer.
So, what's up, bro? Robert Zimmerus.
Oh boy. But yeah, this is terribly misguided. Chris Columbus, who directed the first 2, came out and said, like, why are they doing this? This is unnecessary. I mean, he was a little full of himself. Like, I made Holiday Gold, but I agreed with most of what he said. I don't agree with most people who kiss their own ass, but in this case, I was like, yeah, you got a point.
I kind of like this cast. What the fuck? I wish they were doing a different movie. Because I love Chris Parnell. Pete Holmes cracks me up. Archie Yates is one of my favorite parts of Jojo Rabbit. Kenan is one of the SNL greats. Ellie Kemper is pretty damn funny. This is a cool cast. I really like these people. Andrew Daly's fucking hilarious. I wish they were doing a different movie, just an original comedy of some sort.
Yeah, I know. It's just, it's reheated leftovers.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and I want a home cooked meal. Is that too much to ask?
I want a home cooked meal. Yeah, I want something fucking original.
Finally, and I thought this was interesting considering what could be happening, Emma Stone has reached a deal with Disney to reprise the role of Cruella de Vil in Cruella 2. Craig Gillespie is returning to direct, and I honestly just don't see how this doesn't just end up becoming 101 Dalmatians. Isn't that the next step of this story?
Yeah.
But I thought she was going to sue Disney alongside Scarlett Johansson, but I guess she decided instead to, bank that sequel, which is probably a better move.
Yeah, just go ahead and double down. Yeah.
Yeah. Get your producer credit, make those points. That's how you do it.
Yep.
Cruella 2. I liked Cruella. I thought it was cute. I don't see a sequel. Like, honestly, it's 101 Dalmatians. There's no bridge there.
Yeah, I watched that not too long ago. I didn't see it right when it came out. I thought it was all right. I don't know. I don't know if I'm like interested in the sequel. I thought the interesting thing was that it was finally kind of a different angle. So I don't know. It's not something I'm fucking writing home about, you know?
Yeah. I mean, in part 2, if it is 101 Dalmatians, we're going to see this rebellious antihero want to viciously murder a lot of puppies. And
yeah,
that's not relatable. But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe they'll figure something out, be a prequel or something, but then that doesn't make sense either. I don't know how this is going to work.
They don't care. They just want to make that money.
Yep. That's Disney for you. Oh, so before we get into Don't Breathe 2, let's talk a bit about the other movies. First up, Free Guy. I got to see this with my grandfather, who I owed a good movie after taking him to see Pig, Old, and The Green Knight, all 3 of which he despised. So
all 3 super serious movies.
Yeah. I had to be like, all right, what's coming out that's not, quote unquote, elevated horror, A24 drama horror. And then I saw Free Guy and I'm like, all right, maybe. He doesn't really know video games, but he might like this. And he enjoyed it. He thought it was funny. So I was happy that I got him a win. But it was very funny, very cute, very charming, great cast. Taika Waititi was fantastic as just the software asshole bad guy, Antoine.
Perfect.
Yeah. There was a great KFC joke that he made that is starting to go viral, where he makes up his own fake one called Albuquerque boiled turkey. And that was really funny. But,
that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. It dealt with themes of artificial intelligence and what it means to be human, and what really amounts to our happiness. What do we need in life to truly be happy? So it introduced a lot of really cool concepts. And on top of that, it was really funny and really cute. A lot of cool cameos. There's a really cool Marvel moment in it that was like, of course. And I gave it an 8. I thought it was really enjoyable. I'll probably buy it, and it could go up. This is definitely one that's going to be rewatched. There's so many Easter eggs in the background. It's a video game world, so there's a lot of just repetitive shit happening. The heart of the film is the friendship between Ryan Reynolds and Lil Rel Howery. And they were just so good together. They bounced off each other so well.
I believe that. Yeah. Lil Rel Howery is, I don't know if a guy who's become more relevant in the kind of comedic world quicker than Lil Rel Howery. Good Lord.
I know, right? He just like exploded. Now he's like in every other movie.
Yeah, he's like helped host the Oscars. Yeah, like what the fuck.
I love it. He was one of the few bits of Space Jam 2 I actually liked.
Yeah. That's Lil Rel. He'll always be something you kind of remember, even if the movie's not good.
Damn straight. So Free Guy's in theaters now. It's the highest grossing movie in America right now. I mean, it's like $28 million box office. That's the highest grossing movie in America, right? God, how things have changed.
Yeah, no kidding. Crazy. Right now, during August, you would think that movies are making, $500 million. Yeah,
But yeah, I urge you to go see this one, everybody. This is really funny. It'll definitely take your mind off the state of the fucking world right now and just make you want, honestly, it made me want to play Grand Theft Auto. It's the closest to a Grand Theft Auto movie we're ever going to get.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
GTA, no experience like playing that, just trying to get as many stars as you possibly can, running away from the cops. So much fun.
First semester of college, my roommate, Matt, we couldn't have been more different. He was this like hulking, like 6'5" bodybuilder dude. And I'm me. And I'm happy with who I am. I brought my PlayStation 3. This was 2013. And GTA 5 was about to come out. And he wanted to go halvesies on it. And we went halvesies on it. And we bonded over playing GTA 5. And he was a great guy. Nicest roommate I've ever had. But
Fantastic.
That's my memory of GTA, is playing that with Matt my first year of college. Helped me kind of, calm the nerves of college. I was still pretty nervous in that game. Running over pedestrians and robbing banks helped me get calmer. So thank you.
Yeah. I can attest to that as well. Just anytime I had a tough day at work, I'd go home, play a little bit of GTA, and just immediately forget about everything.
Yeah, fun game.
It's awesome.
Free Guy rocks. Next up,
I did want to say this guy, Sean Levy, the director.
Mm-hmm.
That's a name I definitely know about these days, just from mostly Stranger Things attached to that show. He's directed 5 episodes or something like that, 5 or 6.
There was a Stranger Things kid in the movie.
Oh, there you go. I like that. And then I knew him as a kid he directed Night at the Museum movies.
That's what it was. Yeah.
But then you look at the resume and you're just like, whoa, what the fuck? This guy's kind of been all over my life. Do you remember Big Fat Liar from 2002 with Paul Giamatti?
I haven't thought about that movie in years. I loved that movie as a kid.
Yeah, he directed that movie. He directed Cheaper by the Dozen. The fuck? Damn. The Pink Panther with Steve Martin. Did not like that one. Night at the Museum. Date Night with Steve Carell and Tina Fey. Regal Steel. What the fuck?
Holy shit. This guy's like the king of movies you used to know.
Yeah. The Internship. This Is Where I Leave You. And then, on to Stranger Things and then Free Guy. So really crazy.
That's an awesome career. I didn't know how many random movies from my childhood this dude was responsible for. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of been there all along. He's a little over 50 years old now and just kind of moving on to a different stage of his career. I think, Free Guy is probably something he's been wanting to make, something like that for a long time, and he's been stuck doing straight up kids movies.
Well, this is going to be huge for him. He'll probably be helming the sequel. And this will give him so many more opportunities for bigger stuff.
Fantastic. He's a producer on Arrival and The Spectacular Now. Just really crazy, really random stuff. He's obviously involved in a lot of different things.
Sounds like he has been kind of testing the waters of a lot of different stuff, trying to figure out what do I want to do. And that's cool. I like when people do that. I like when people kind of diversify.
Yeah, me too. I think you set yourself up for, like you said, big things to come in your future when you do that. And with movies, with, directing and writing and all this stuff and producing, 50 years old is kind of young in that game. So
yeah,
you still have a lot of stuff to do.
True. Very true. Next up, Respect, the long-awaited Aretha Franklin biopic that was supposed to come out last December, I think, and then got pushed to August. And my Lord, was this movie emotional. Jennifer Hudson was so perfectly cast as Aretha Franklin. No one else has those pipes, the voice to match Aretha. It had to be her. And she delivers, my God. And the way she acts through her singing, I honestly can't believe she started out on American Idol. She's such a natural actress that her whole life's trajectory makes no fucking sense. But here she is, possibly ready to take home a second Oscar, and it would be deserved. This movie was very good, very strong. Talked a lot about Aretha's involvement in the civil rights movement, which I didn't know about. Her relationship with her father, which was really fucked. He was kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know that she was raped at a young age and had a child at 12 years old, which is, dear Lord. And it was just it was a long movie. It's 2.5 hours long, but the music and the cinematography and the performances made this just something to remember. And I hope this does well. I want this to make some waves at come award season, but I'm worried it comes out in August before the bubble. So it might just get missed, but I don't want it to get missed. This was very good. I urge people to check this out. I give it an 8. It's formulaic. It's a musician biopic. It's going to be, rise to fame, drug problem, fall from grace, redemption, of course. But I like that story, and a lot of musicians go through that shit. there's this, it's a formula because that's what happens. But yeah, definitely Respect was very good.
Yeah. A lot of especially, I think we can compare just like last year, United States vs. Billie Holiday comes out. A lot of stories that are finally being told properly about Black celebrities in our country.
Yeah.
And then you're finding out that it wasn't pretty at all getting there, making it there, getting there, whatever they had to do to become famous was just that much harder than anybody else. So like you said, that's what had to happen. That's what did happen. And so it's going to be really tough. I haven't seen this. I definitely want to see it. I think Jennifer Hudson's for sure going to get a nomination for Best Actress. Like you mentioned earlier, she won for Dreamgirls. For a supporting role, I think she's going to get her second nomination, maybe a second win. We'll see. But I really want to see this. It's hard to believe. Same thing with my main issue with United States vs. Billie Holiday is there's so much story to tell. There's so much, and it's hard to believe that a story about Aretha could be told in even just 2.5 hours. It's why I see a lot of these things that are really good go on, as mini series or whatever happens, they get released that way on TV. And you just have more time to go into these things, like her having a kid at age 12 is a huge deal. Those things are very tough to fit inside. So I'm very curious as to how I'll respond, because I'm a little harder on biopics than you are.
Yeah.
Just because I get frustrated really easy with missing stuff.
Well, I get that. I mean, it's impossible for anybody, regardless of race, regardless of what they did in life. It's impossible to condense anybody's life into 2.5 hours. And a biopic, I like, they got to take the most pertinent parts of that person's life. If they're going to do a career spanning story, you got to kind of pick your moments. And Respect is the angle it takes is Aretha trying to break free of a cycle of abuse and find her own voice, find out who she wants to be in life and how to become that person. Because she, her father and then her husband all were just abusive, tried to control her, tried to make her fit their own agenda. And it took an immense courage to break out of that and become Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
And that's the angle the movie takes. And I liked that. It doesn't, like the abuse, the rape at age 12 is only touched on very briefly. And I kind of liked that. I didn't want to spend too much time there. That's horrifying.
That's probably, yeah, you're probably right. It's probably more for a documentary or something like that.
Yeah.
To dive, if they want to dive into that. Yeah. It's not an easy genre.
No, it's not. But I love them. I love true stories because it's always there's so much history in the world that we never are taught. And these films are one of the ways that we can learn about people we should have learned about, incidents we should have learned about, moments in wars, moments in just world history. And I love all of them. I mean, there's some that are shitty, admittedly. It's like any genre. Yeah. But biopics are some of my favorites just because of what I learned from them.
Yeah. Yeah. You always know going into it, you're going to get some kind of angle and you're going to get somebody's perspective and opinion on it. And that's nice to know that you're going into it you're going to walk away with that.
Yeah. Because I saw this movie, I know a little bit more about Aretha Franklin, and that makes me feel good.
Yeah. And you got to watch another Jennifer Hudson performance. So that's always fun.
There's a scene where the first 20 minutes follows young, 10, 12 years old Aretha Franklin. And there's a moment where she's singing in church and she turns into Jennifer Hudson. There's a transition. But in that moment, the vocals, my heart skipped a beat. I'm not kidding. She has such a powerful voice that I got just stirred. It was amazing. Yeah, she's incredibly talented. And I feel like no one really talks about her when it comes to great singers. I don't know why. Is it because she just hasn't done that many movies, or I don't know.
She doesn't care to like sell herself the way a lot of people do. She's just herself. She's just Jennifer Hudson. She's super chill, like super has a very calming presence. And somehow, not only was she on American Idol, she lost American Idol. Isn't that crazy to believe? You know, she was on season 3.
7th place.
Yeah. Insanity.
You want to hear something even crazier? Do you know what she was doing before American Idol?
No.
She worked at Burger King.
Yeah. No, I believe that. One of my favorite voices, Brittany Howard for the Alabama Shakes. She was working as a UPS, just kind of like postal service, just kind of running around giving out mail. And then her band took off. It's like, that's so cool. I love when that shit happens.
Yeah, me too. It's the dream, to be recognized for your skills as an artist is the dream.
Yeah. What you like doing. Yeah.
And I love anybody who doesn't forget themselves, who, takes everything they've learned through life and like puts that into their artist persona and continues to be who they were, just with much more, a lot more options now.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Jennifer Hudson did that. Oh, that was such a good movie. A big part, we were talking about how, a lot of the conversation of, see the movie and then talk about the movie. A lot of that gets lost these days. For me, a lot of it is I have to see a lot of these movies by myself. So I don't have anyone to talk to about them. And that's a problem.
Yeah. And then, on the show, if you're with me, I'm usually just going to pick one.
Yeah, I get that. But like walking out of the theater, I'm like, wasn't that great? That person was really good. Like there's a magic in that I still believe in.
Oh yeah. 100%. Well, and anytime you and I watch something, even if it's like a week apart, if I watch something, then you watch it, or you watch it, then I watch it, we're going to talk about it. Like recently you watched Woodstock 99, a thing I was very hot about and very kind of keen on people seeing. And you went ahead and watched that and you were like, dude, that was insane. And we kind of chatted about it, texted about it. I love that. That's everything to me. I'm in multiple group chats. I'm in one that just talks about what's happening in basketball in the NBA world. And I'm in one that just talks about soccer. So it's like that. I love that community aspect of being passionate about something and other people igniting that and equaling it and going back and forth. It's so cool. It's like kind of my favorite thing in life is to find connections like that.
Damn straight. The meaning of life, I think, is to connect, to, be a part of somebody else's life, no matter how small or big, to make an impact on anybody's life is just tops. It's fantastic. It feels good.
Oh yeah. In big or small is like really important. Being able to read, maybe this person just needs a high five, or maybe this person needs to sit down and fucking talk, either whatever it is, big or small, just kind of participate. Being willing to participate is a big deal. And I think that's why we're able to talk about movies all the time is we just put our walls down and allow things to kind of take us, just sweep us up. It's the best.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so happy I was encouraged. I don't remember how I was encouraged. I think it was when we started Filmgazm, the website, to just completely jump out of my comfort zone when it came to films. And I am so happy I did that. Everything I've seen since then has reinforced me as a human being. And that is just amazing.
Yeah. What a feeling. Yeah.
Oh, this is the shit. Speaking of shit, Beckett.
Yikes.
Netflix's latest, I don't know, preheated leftovers. I like that metaphor. Basically, if you've seen any political thriller from the past 50 years, you've seen Beckett. And it's in Greece. Of course it is. It's just, I hate this subgenre so much. Political thrillers are so formulaic and dull. And they shouldn't be. There's so much intrigue there that is never expressed. And I don't get why they keep making these movies. There's no audience for them at this point.
No, yeah, including me. This was the one movie we got to see Don't Breathe together, but this is the one movie I was going to try to watch as extra kind of homework for this show. It's on Netflix and stars John David Washington, and I love Alicia Vikander. And other than that, there's a lot of people I don't really know. A lot of Greek actors. And threw it on late last night, and I just straight up fell asleep. I was tired, but I've watched so many movies late at night, and I do that a lot for Oscar Sunday, where I'll watch it real late at night when I have zero distractions and I can kind of just zone out. Usually that works out because I'm very into it. It's usually a movie I'm rewatching that I really like The Truman Show or Chinatown or something like that. But with this movie, Beckett, I was just like, here we fucking go again, and I even put my phone away. I was like, I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm going to try to give this movie my attention. And I lasted 15, 20 minutes. And I feel like I knew what I was getting anyway,
Yeah.
You had texted me if you've seen Z and Frantic, which of course I've seen both of those. Love both those movies. The writing's just kind of on the wall right away.
Shortly after I texted you that, a scene that they totally ripped out of The Fugitive happened. Yeah. I'm like, God. Yeah. He tries to lose the bad guys in a parade, and I'm like, oh, well, I just saw this last week. I watched The Fugitive last week for kicks.
You guys like the Bourne trilogy, huh? Yeah.
So basically the plot, if I can try to decipher this hornet's nest, is Beckett is on vacation in Greece with his wife or his girlfriend, April, played by Alicia Vikander. And they're on vacation in Greece in the middle of a very tumultuous and violent election, which maybe not the smartest time to go check out the islands.
No.
And on their way to a B&B, Beckett straight up falls asleep at the wheel, drives off a fucking cliff, and lands in a house. And in this house, he sees a little redheaded boy, and also he killed his girlfriend. And he wakes up in a hospital and is like, oh shit, I killed my girlfriend. I guess I'll just not think about this for another 2 hours. Because really, he just finds out she's dead, calls her dad, and then that's it with April, pretty much. He sees her corpse later on towards the end, and it's just kind of like, oh, all right. And then just moves on. Kind of shitty.
Sounds like Malcolm.
A little bit. I think John David Washington's getting typecast as kind of a shitty boyfriend.
That's what it looks like.
Well, anyway, he goes to the Greek cops and tells them, hey, I saw a boy in that house. And they're like, there's no boy. And he's like, there was. And then finds out that these local cops kidnapped this boy because they're part of a terrorist cell that's after the boy's uncle, who's the guy running for Greek president. And he gets assassinated in a random moment. That's when I'm like, this is fucking Z. It's the same shit. This is what happens when you watch old movies. You can't hide that shit from me.
Fucking Z, classic.
There's a moment that immediately took me out of it, where I was like, I was willing to give this film a chance, and then I'm like, absolutely fucking not. Beckett is trying to catch a car that's driving out of a parking garage and has the kid in the trunk. So he leaps off a 5-story parking garage and lands on the car. The car is totaled. He is fine. Yeah. Apparently, he's also fucking Batman in his spare time. Because I was like, are you kidding me right now? This has been completely straightforward the whole time. He's not a mutant. There's no superpowers here. You can't just leap off a 5-story anything and live. Oh my God. So yeah, also Boyd Holbrook pops up towards the end as a CIA agent at the embassy.
I was wondering. I saw him on he's the second person listed, and I was like, where is Boyd? I kind of like that guy.
Beckett makes it to the embassy, and he talks to Boyd Holbrook, and he's like, oh well, tell me everything. And it turns out Boyd Holbrook's a CIA agent who set this whole thing up. He's orchestrating the assassination, and Beckett's going to be the fall guy. So it's a big surprise. He's the secret bad guy. Called that in a heartbeat because that's who you cast Boyd Holbrook as every time. He's always the scummy American guy who's actually a bad guy. And it was satisfying to see Beckett beat the shit out of him with a pipe, though. That was good.
That was good. Good for Beckett. Yeah.
But yeah, 6 out of 10. There's really no substance here. The ending it kind of just happens. There's no build up to anything. There's no. It's a fish out of water, wrong person, wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. But it's just not that engaging, and I've seen this done better many times. So 6.
Yeah, that looks like that's where it was going for me before I crashed out.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe because I watched it about 4 hours ago, I was still fairly awake. But I can tell you, if I watched this late, I would have fallen asleep too.
Yeah. It happens a lot with movies that I'm kind of just trying out, let's give this a go. It'll happen. I'll do that late at night, and occasionally it'll happen.
I thought that was going to happen with this next film, and I ended up being super engaged, and that is CODA from Apple TV Plus. I fully expected this to be I'll watch 20 minutes of it now and the rest of it tomorrow, but I got sucked in because it is a very good movie.
Awesome.
Yeah. CODA stands for Child of Deaf Adults. And in this film, Ruby is the only member of her family who can hear. Her parents and her brother are deaf from birth. And they're all fishermen. And she's the one who interprets and helps them sell their catch and keeps them afloat. But also she loves music in a cruel twist of fate, and is a very talented singer, and she wants to pursue a scholarship to music college. But in order to do that, she has to give up on her family, who don't really understand how much this means to her because they can't really comprehend music. And it's a very strong movie, one of the best coming of age films I've ever seen, and you know how much I fucking hate those.
Yeah, I got to see this. Yeah.
It's really touching. There's a moment toward the end where she's singing a song and she starts signing it so her parents can understand it. And it's oh shit. I almost cried. It was so strong. I can see this making some waves at the Oscars too. And I like that they actually cast deaf actors. So it's also got really strong representation. And I gave this an 8. I would recommend this to anybody. This is a very touching film.
That's good to hear, man. Good to hear coming from, again, someone who doesn't love coming of age movies. So that's good. I'm very curious about this one. I was when you mentioned that this is on the docket for you, and I've looked the movie up. I initially thought it was an animated movie when you said CODA, and then I looked it up and I was like, oh, this looks serious. This looks like a serious movie. I thought you were saying CODA KODA or something, like the name of some dog. Like the bear from Brother Bear? Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. That's exactly where my mind went. And then I was like, oh no, this is like a serious drama. Yeah, I definitely should check it out. This CN Heater, I think is her name. Mm-hmm. She directed some Orange is the New Black episodes. It makes sense that eventually, move on to films. Directed some Glow episodes, a show that is fantastic on Netflix. So good stuff. I'm excited. I think it's weird that in 8 months, we've only covered 2 Apple TV Plus movies. Their output for movies is incredibly fucking low. I really thought that was going to be more prevalent this year. That's why I got it. But Cherry sucked, but this was great. If they keep pumping out movies like this, they're going to be one to be rivaled for sure. Hell yeah. That's good. That's great to hear. Yeah, that was fun. And now to our main event, Don't Breathe 2. Josh and I did Don't Breathe on the Filmgazm podcast last week, episode 149. So if you want to hear more about the production of that film and kind of the background of 2 as well, check out that episode. I was not generous because frankly, I don't think it's that great. And I think this one's even worse. That's for sure. This one's definitely worse. Holy hell. It's you're in two completely different worlds. It looks different. It's filmed different. The screenplay is much worse to me. Everything about it, they failed to kind of capture what I'm definitely a big fan of the first one, and they failed to kind of meet those expectations that I had going into it. I was definitely excited, but it's like a 5 or a 6. Don't Breathe 2, and Don't Breathe for me is definitely a solid 8. Mm-hmm. Love that movie. I think everything they chose to do in this one was just kind of the wrong way to go.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to talk about that in depth in a minute here. I want to talk about something I mentioned in the Don't Breathe Filmgazm episode that I just find absolutely hilarious. Don't Breathe 2 came about after Fede Alvarez had fans vote on whether they wanted a sequel to Don't Breathe or Evil Dead. And when Evil Dead overwhelmingly won the vote, Alvarez wrote a sequel to Don't Breathe 2 because fuck the fans. That's right there. You should have realized like this isn't going to be good.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's great. Don't Breathe 2 is the directorial debut of Alvarez's writing partner, Rodo Sayaguas, who also co-wrote the first film and this one with Fede. But Fede is committing more to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot that's on the way. So he handed over directorial duties to his partner. And I don't think it's that great.
No. This Rodo Sayaguas, this guy that directed Don't Breathe 2. Nah, just not really my kind of director. I much prefer less is more type look at things. And in this movie, they try to convolute it. He tried to do too many tricks, and it just kind of flopped.
I find it ironic that the whole reason Fede wanted to make the first Don't Breathe is because fans went after him with Evil Dead, saying like, you can't do anything that's not relying on gore. You're just, you can't do original ideas. So he did Don't Breathe to shut them up. And then in Don't Breathe 2, it's a rehash that's full of gore.
Yeah.
It's just, of course, nothing stays pure in Hollywood for long.
No, of course not. Just short 5 years. Yeah. You get just totally going back on your word. Yeah.
5 years in real time, 8 years in movie time for some reason.
Yeah, that's another thing that just was stupid. Yeah.
Stephen Lang returns as the blind man, who again is never mentioned by name, but IMDb has him listed as Norman Nordstrom. I don't know why that never is said in either movie. So why bother giving him a name? I guess because now they want him to be relatable, and you can't be relatable against an entity called the blind man. So you got to give this guy a name.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Lang's doing all right. He's the only one who's really committing here, but he's committing to a version of the character that I don't think any of us ever asked for.
Yeah. Stephen Lang is fantastic, and if used, I'll say in the first hour of Don't Breathe, the first movie, I don't know what horror fan doesn't like that character and that first hour where you don't really know anything about him. He's blind, looks super creepy at night with the fucking night vision, and you just see his steely eyes. All that shit's really cool. He knows his way around his house really well. That's awesome. So he can just kind of find things and fucking fight, and he has this heightened sense of smell and, hearing. All that stuff is really cool. Leave it at that. You could make 9 movies out of this, out of people going to this house, trying to steal from this guy and him fucking killing all of them. That could be movie after movie after movie. But now, even at it starts with the end of the first movie where they start throwing these plot twists into it and these really weird and dark and creepy things that are happening. And then the second movie just kind of keeps doing that. They keep like kind of opening doors, and I don't appreciate it at all. I think what's cool and kind of charming about the first movie is that first hour of not knowing what the fuck's going on. This guy's just fucking scary as hell because he can't see, but he clearly he knows where I am. Like, that's really cool. That's a great original idea. Just leave it at that. You know, you don't have to explain. You don't have to give him a redemption arc. He's not a redeemable character. You don't have to. The 8 years later thing makes no sense. I don't know. All those decisions with his character, it's not really his fault, you know, the actor, Stephen Lang, but unfortunate that this character could have been amazing, could have been iconic. And yet again, they just kind of mess it up.
Well, I think you hit it on the nose with the fact that he's not a redeemable character. I mean, the things he does in the first movie are beyond heinous and absolutely disgusting. But this movie completely backtracks on that, never mentions it once, and now treats this guy like he's some, you know, wounded veteran hero who's going to save this little girl from certain death. And that's not at all who this fucker is. This guy is an evil rapist who murdered 3 people and like tried to, you know, impregnate another one. And now he's supposed to be the guy we're rooting for. Like,
yeah, and then 8 years later, he's picked up this random girl who's now like 13 or 14, and picked her up when she was 5 years old or something like that after a house fire. What is this? What are we doing? Like you said, like he's some fucking Clint Eastwood character. What the fuck?
They tried to turn this guy into the fucking man with no name. He kidnaps a child from a burning house. Like, that's his first act in this film. And he's like, what the fuck?
And then he's like training her like it's fucking Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. Like, what's going on? What is this? What are we doing?
Yeah, literally no one has fucked with this guy until these assholes tried to rob his house. Like, he's not, you know, being hunted by the mob or whatever the hell. He just kidnapped a child and is prepping for the day where parents come back, maybe. And yeah, that does happen, but he couldn't have known that. How did they even know where the fuck the kid went?
I don't know. Yeah. And like, yeah. Oh man. The reason that the people go to the house in this movie is just like, okay, for fuck's sake. Jesus Christ.
We'll get to it for sure. There's a lot of bad writing in this film. Madeline Grace plays Phoenix, blind man's adopted daughter that he straight up stole from a burning house. I'm not going to let that go away. Grace has appeared in episodes of shows like Grey's Anatomy, Portlandia, Z Nation, and The Orville, and this is her film debut. So she's okay.
I don't think she has it. Like, I think this movie, one of my main problems now after thinking about it and knowing this is the only movie I watched out of this bunch, and I was like, this is the one I'm going to talk about. The poster for this movie is honestly offensive. It's trying to make this character look like on the poster, this Phoenix character, like she's going to be some kind of Charlie character from Hereditary. On the poster, they literally have her like, it's like the same poster, you know, it's really, really frustrating. And then you go into it and she's just, I don't know, the orphanage storyline is like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are you throwing all this stuff into this? You know?
Yeah.
It made her seem really, really smart at times. And other times made her seem like she was this kind of dumb, like 5-year-old. It was weird. Like, I don't really know how to read. I guess it's not really her fault, but I didn't know how to read it. And then she does, you know, make a couple like kills. So good Lord. Changed her life forever.
I just want to mention that I think if the listeners had bet on which one of us was going to disparage the child actor, I bet they would have bet on me. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I don't think she has it. I think you can see something, but maybe it's just she's going to grow up and look like a totally different person and act completely differently. But right now, I don't know. I think there's other young girls I've seen. What's that girl's name that's in the It movies? The young girl. she's like fucking incredible, you know, and you're like, she has it, like she has something. I'm gonna look up her name while I talk about her. She's truly like someone I think you gotta like kind of look out for. I think she has serious chops. Her name's Sophia Lillis.
I knew it was Sophia something. Good. Yeah, she is good.
She's fantastic. And I would much prefer to see her in a movie like this, you know?
Yeah. Now here's probably the worst guy. Brendan Sexton III plays Raylan, or Meth Dad, as I call it. Sexton has also appeared in such films as Boys Don't Cry, Empire Records, El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. A lot of background thug characters he's played. Not quite ready to play the main villain of a movie.
No, nor will he ever be. I don't think. You know, Madeline Grace has a lot of time to figure some stuff out. This guy does not. He's not. He's just not good in this movie, and takes away from a lot of it. Like he looks like he's trying to be so many villains from the past, like in cinematic history. The way he kind of looks at that one girl that kind of takes care of Phoenix.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie, the way he just like looks at her like, "Oh, you served? Well, so did we. Dishonorably discharged." And you're like, "Fuck this guy." You already know what you're gonna be watching the whole movie, you know, and you know he's got some weird fucking, you know, incentive. So I didn't like that guy at all. Thought he was a bad character and bad performance.
What was the point of setting up the van driver as a veteran if they're just going to kill her immediately after that?
I don't know.
What a waste. I thought she was going to be there as like backup, you know?
Yeah. And then the guy who kills her looks like Malfoy if he would have been on drugs, like his entire existence. Yeah. That character sucked. That actor was not good. None of those like henchmen guys were good. They were all kind of terrible.
Except for that one Latin guy who's like, they're going to kill the kid, and that's not cool with me.
It doesn't make it right. Yeah, like, Jesus Christ.
I'll kidnap as many children as you need me to kidnap, but killing them, whoa.
Yeah, cool it.
Have a line.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So stupid. So our choice of character to relate to here, I mean, yeah, there's the little girl, but the movie's really pushing us towards blind guy. And I refuse to accept rape dad over meth dad. But those are just terrible choices regardless. And then the mom isn't even fucking listed on IMDb. I can't find her in the cast.
The Helena Bonham Carter wannabe?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was maybe the worst in the whole movie was probably her.
Yeah. Mrs. Lovett in the wheelchair. I have no idea who that was. But it's a terrible, go find my daughter because I need a heart transplant.
Yeah. And then, oh man, you know, I want to point out the few things that I think are okay with it before I just keep going, kind of just destroying this movie. Stephen Lang, there's no real problems with his performance, and some of the kills that his character has are fantastic. You know, are really cool. It's great stuff. It's great stuff happening. You know, he at one point glues a guy's mouth closed. That part's pretty awesome. Like that's awesome. You know, he's like, "Fuck you. I'm gonna make this, you know, really painful for you to get out of." And that guy ends up getting completely clobbered. I like some of the use of the stuff like kind of in the garden shed. I thought there were some good kills in there, some entertaining kills with different tools and whatnot in the garden shed. That was fun. But then immediately you're just reminded of, oh, this story has no idea what it wants to do, because it turns into what a lot of movies do now with these kind of dominating male characters. They involve a dog somehow, and then it ends up just copying John Wick. Like Stephen Lang's character, Norman, the blind guy, I'm just going to call him Blind Man. He has this kind of like affiliation with these dogs, no matter what, no matter where they're from or who they're with. You know, he's just, I fucking respect dogs. You know, I'm not going to kill a dog. I'll kill as many men and as many people as I want to, but I'm not going to kill a dog. Yeah. And then this dog like leads him down through all of the city of Detroit, which is another huge issue I have with it. The way they portray Detroit is like, it's not Mad Max. Like, what's going on? And that part like really pissed me off when they just kind of got me for a second with all the stuff going on at the house. Oh man, they're all just chasing him down. He's playing hide and seek in his house. You know, that was kind of cool. And then immediately they destroy that by going to that hotel. And then he has to have the dog lead him. He's like, go home, you know? Ugh. And the dog just starts walking around Detroit. Like, oh yeah, I know exactly what hotel we need to go to. That stuff matters to me. And no matter what kind of movie it is, what kind of genre it is, even if it's like trying to be a slasher type movie, I still want the story to fucking make sense. And with Don't Breathe, the first one, I had no questions. I had like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? Yeah. But I was never like, wait, how does that make sense? How does this add up? How does this add up? Wait, what? But this movie, I asked that like 5 or 6 times. Like, wait, what? This is logical? In one of the largest cities in the entire country, this dog is just going to walk this blind guy through to the exact hotel that they were staying at. I don't really like that. And that's how he gets there. And then how does he turn the power off at the hotel? Stupid. So dumb. I thought about this all day. Just like, why? Like, it becomes a domino effect. Then you realize, holy shit, this is not a good movie.
You'd mentioned something when we were talking outside the theater about how this movie treats its audience like we're stupid.
Oh yeah, multiple times. Yeah.
Zooming in on the TV, like, hey, there's an organ thief at large. Just remember that.
Yeah. Like what? You know, I hate, that's like what you do with a cartoon, like kids movie or kids show, where you have the foreshadowing, like very obvious. That's like what you do in Scooby-Doo. Not Don't Breathe. Not like a full-on R-rated horror movie. Don't treat me like an idiot, you know? and then it ends up being for we got to get our daughter because we got to do a heart transplant to save the mom who's cooking meth. You know, it's ultimately to save a meth lab. Yeah. Which is why the quote unquote house burned down 8 years ago. Like, what is this? This isn't Breaking Bad. Like,
well, like I brought up something with the first movie is that when you're like, our heroes in the first movie are 3 amateur thieves who decide to rob a blind guy.
Hell yeah.
So your villain has to be super worse by comparison. And when your bad guy, when your good guy is a man who stuck a turkey baster full of jizz into a teenager, you need to have just some super sadistic bad guys to compensate. And you go with meth lab couple who lost their kid. I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're evil, but by comparison, Blind Man is way more evil.
Yeah, individually evil. Blind Man's like one of the most evil people I've seen in a movie in a long, like ever, and does like Hellraiser type shit. So, is really fucking crazy. This is why Don't Breathe blows me away. But this movie, like you said, we don't need to have stakes for this guy. Let's just watch some fucking evil. Can we just agree to just watch some evil rather than having to justify one over the other? Like, what?
Yes.
That's stupid. Horror you don't have any rules. You don't have to do that. So the one beautiful thing about this genre is you don't have to do that. You can stay just as sadistic as you fucking want to.
That is why I loved an episode Josh and I did a few weeks ago on Filmgazm, Psycho Gorman. Because everyone in that movie is an evil piece of shit. And you are aware of that from beginning to end.
And that's fine.
Yeah, there's moments of like, nicety, but overall, this is a intergalactic sadist versus an intergalactic cult leader. So there is no hero here. Even the kids and the family are bad people. But horror, encapsulates that. It's a genre where you get to just fuck the rules and have people just be sons of bitches all around. You don't need a shining knight. that you don't need it. And in this movie, in this case, you really don't need it. And this is the guy you're going to turn into our hero? Like, absolutely not. No way. No one's going to buy that.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think it was well thought out, that part is well thought out with this film, where how is the audience supposed to receive this? How is the audience supposed to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I would do the same thing if I lost my house and I lost my daughter in a house fire. I would do the same thing. I would hunt this guy down with a bunch of guns and stuff. And like, I wouldn't just cordially try to go up and say, hey, I'm going to take you to court if you don't give me my fucking daughter back, you know? Because I put myself, you know, if I were away from my daughter and I somehow found her, you know, my daughter's 2 right now. So say I lost her and then I found her 8 years later when she's 10 and I found out where she is. I'm sure as hell going to do everything in my power to get back to her, but I'm not going to show up with like, all right, boys, let's go and just bring a bunch of like guns and weapons to this guy's house. Just like, we're just going to take her. Like, don't fuck the neighbors, fuck everything else that's going on. And if like people call the cops, I'm just going to do whatever I have to do. I would probably go to the guy's house and say, hey man, like, I'm going to take you to court. Are you going to do anything about it? Or like, do you want to, you know, talk about it? None of that happens here. This guy's like, no, I got to get my daughter. I got to get that heart transplant for my wife so we can keep cooking meth. What a weird motive for a movie to kind of thrive on.
Well, to be fair, if you were in this situation, I imagine the reason you would lose Willow is not because you and Brianna fucked up a meth lab.
No, of course not. But say we got a house fire. Say something like that happened with a house fire that we couldn't control.
Yeah.
And I found out someone kidnapped my daughter and, you know, kept them for their own. And I found out about that. I would definitely be very avid about figuring out how to get her back. But
I feel like it wouldn't be that hard. All you have to do is prove DNA, exactly. And then you have your kid back.
Exactly. And obviously these meth lab, these freaks who have like messed with prison and whatnot, they can't just go about it that way. But it just doesn't make sense for the movie as the audience to kind of take that in.
There is some kind of unearned sense of retribution. Like, this guy took everything from me. Let's take everything from him. But again, I mean, yeah, you're fresh out of prison, but that doesn't mean you, like, I'm assuming ex-cons still have, you know, a few rights.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. It's weird. One thing that bothered me that I thought was an odd choice. I don't like that the basement is different.
Yeah.
That bugged me. There's no maze of shelves. There's stairs now instead of the ladder. There's like a random like panic room for the girl that ends up just almost drowning her. I don't know. That was pointless. And yeah, the whole thing with the dogs is really odd. Like I am tired of this whole, like, you know, evil-hearted person who won't hurt animals, but will just, you know, fuck up so many teenagers.
Yeah, like, cool, I guess, whatever.
Is that on the? But and then again, like in Halloween 2018, Michael Myers goes into a home, kills everybody, but doesn't touch the baby. So, like, do you think that's? Why do you think they keep doing shit like that? Is it just too far, or is it to hold on to some little spark of humanity?
That's an excellent question. Because yeah, with Halloween, you know, you're obviously, especially right now with what's happening, you know, the boogeyman, you know, he's just this relentless force that doesn't really seem human at all. So for him to stop and like look at the baby, process, and be like, no, I'm not doing that. I guess, yeah, like you're saying, it's supposed to give some sort of humanity of like, oh, this guy is human, which makes it even scarier, everything else he's doing. Maybe that's the case. But it also is like, man, that's got to be so hard to go to the people that are paying for your movie and be like, hey, I am going to have a scene where Michael Myers stabs a baby. And they're like, dude, no.
Yeah, you're right.
Dude, this isn't fucking Eastern Europe. You know, you can't do that shit. Movies do have a line. God, and so if I were in control, I just wouldn't put babies on the screen.
Yeah, like just don't introduce that factor at all.
Yeah,
good idea.
Yeah, that way, with Halloween, make it all teenagers, adults, so on and so forth. That people which this is so crazy that we're justifying, like, oh, it's fine to kill adults. Michael Myers, do what you got to do.
We look forward to it. That's the weird part. We're like, oh, look, he's gonna kill that guy. Ah.
Oh yeah, I mean, all the time. I've said it multiple times. There's good kills in Don't Breathe 2. Like, it's just a part of our language as horror fans. I wouldn't just go to my mom and be like, oh man, Mom, you should see Don't Breathe 2. It's really weird, kind of dumb, but there's some good kills. I wouldn't do that. But if you hadn't seen it, I'd be like, dude, Connor, this movie's fucked up. It's stupid. The screenplay is bad, but there's some good kills. You'd be like, oh, I might check that out.
The funniest part of that is I can and have said that to my mom.
So good. See, I love that. Your mom understands. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is weird as a horror fan to, like, you have to kind of take the humanity out of yourself and put it aside for a moment to enjoy this shit. It's weird. Like in Halloween, when, Michael just straight up smushes that guy's head like a fucking pumpkin and then like turns it into a jack-o'-lantern. You're not like, oh dear God. You're like, that was awesome. And yeah, it's a little fucked up for you to think that. And we never really talk about that as horror fans. We just kind of accept it.
No.
I love that there's a whole genre of film where you just have to kind of forget who you are and just get sucked in, or it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And just knowing a lot of these movies that you're seeking out on purpose are just fucked by nature. They're just fucked up movies. Yeah. And then there's that kind of rush you get from, oh my God, that's one of the most fucked up movies I've seen. I want to see how much further this craft, this art form can be pushed, And so you see something like Itchy the Killer and you're like, oh, okay. Is there more? Is there more of this? And you're like, sure enough, Japan's full of movies like this, and there's something in you that's kind of like, it's like being addicted to some kind of drug where you're just kind of like, I want to know what's the wildest shit I can find. And I only horror fans really understand that. It doesn't happen with other genres, You're not going to have like, oh man, when a movie's really dramatic, like a Marriage Story, you're not going to have people like, oh, watch out though. Cause not everybody can handle that kind of drama, You know what I mean? It's just a fucking movie, but there is a range with horror. There's a range of, some people will watch these horror movies and there's some that are a little too fucked up. You and I want to go through that and see how far it can go. And that's obviously the case for Josh and Caleb as well. That's why we just kind of click, because we there's an understanding that we don't need to talk about it. We just want to see some crazy shit.
First off, I just love the visual of somebody being like, whoa, that movie's really dramatic. Are you sure you can handle that?
Yeah. Dude.
And then like just finding the guy and he's like crying so hard. He's like, I'll never see anything like that again.
Yeah. Although I do know people who have watched like that movie, Marriage Story, or like Before Midnight, the finishing piece of the Before trilogy with Linklater and Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. And people have been very uncomfortable with it, watching it. It's like, oh, this is too real. Fuck, like these conversations, or like Malcolm and Marie. Yeah. That had a serious effect on people of like, oh, do I sound like this? And that can kind of scare people.
And, I got to say, like, I have been putting off watching Schindler's List because I know it's going to hit me very hard. And yeah, you know what? Maybe there is a little bit to that there are movies out there that are so dramatic that people stay away from them until they know they're ready.
Yeah. Well, like the TV show, This Is Us, it's like built to make you cry. And I'm good. I don't need to cry every single week. I'll let that happen with the movies I watch. Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never really thought about that.
But is there a movie like with too much action or too many laughs? Like, is there a comedy? This is too funny. Be careful.
This is too funny.
Bridesmaids is really funny. Watch out.
I remember watching 1,000 Ways to Die back in the day. Remember that show?
Yeah.
And there was this one guy who literally laughed himself to death. He his body got caught in a fucking loop. He couldn't stop laughing, and he dehydrated himself.
Was he watching Superbad? Yeah.
Honestly, I'm afraid to find out what he was watching because I don't want it to happen to me. It's like The Ring, but with comedy.
God. Ugh, crazy, Yeah. That is super interesting, taking each genre and is this too much? I think horror is the easiest one to look at, where there are clearly some movies that are like, no, we're going to go kind of turn it to 11 and just make it as wild as possible. And we love when a movie like Halloween does that, but holds strong to its plot, strong to its story, and understands that the audience is there for kills, but also it'd be cool if you could make a nice movie along the way.
Caleb told me on more than one occasion that he has reached the top, he's reached the top of the ceiling. And there was a movie he watched that I've banned from the podcast because I'm not putting myself through that. And I don't want to put you through that. But he watched it and it changed him fundamentally. And he has yet to, he's been so desensitized by that movie that nothing else comes close.
Yeah.
And that sucks. But this movie was so hardcore, it wasn't even entertaining. It was just gross. And if you're familiar with horror movies, guys, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm never doing it on the podcast. I'm never watching that movie.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Sorry, Caleb. I hope we find something.
No, that, he hit rock bottom.
Yep, pretty much. Oof.
He went on a bender and never came back.
Well, apparently a friend showed it to him, and I'm like, "Oh, they're still friends too." And if a friend of mine showed me that movie, I would probably stop talking to them.
I'd be like, "Yeah, you okay?" Yeah, Jesus.
Like if anyone comes to me like, "Hey, this is really entertaining. You want to watch this?" And then I watch it, and I'm like, "You need fucking therapy, man. God damn."
Yeah, this is entertaining to you? I thought Back to the Future was pretty good.
Yeah, I'll go watch fucking episodes of Barney over this. Like, dear Lord, I'm in hell. I don't want to do that ever.
No.
Don't Breathe 2 has an IMDb score of 6.4, Rotten Tomatoes score of 51%, compared to the first film's 88%. That's quite a steep drop.
Yeah, big time. And that's kind of where I'm at. I thought the first one was an 8, and the second one is like a 5 or 6. Yeah, I agree with those numbers.
It's grossed $14 million so far on a budget of $15 million. So give it another weekend. It's going to make its money back at the very least.
Yeah, that's horror for you. Nice hour and a half long, kind of mindless, crazy ride. Obviously, with us, we think about these movies on a whole different level and are trying to dissect the hell out of them. And with this one, it just doesn't have enough. It doesn't have enough to really keep you and bring you back.
Yeah, I give it a 6. It's a mess. And then
at
the end of it, I do want to point out, it does have a post-credit scene. Spoiler alert, Norman Blind Man Nordstrom is stabbed to death at the end of this movie and has his Darth Vader moment with Phoenix.
Yeah.
Let me save you. You already have, Luke. Phoenix. And blah, he dies. She goes to a shelter because that's a promising future for the child. That's great. And apparently there's a post-credit scene where the dog, the pit bull, goes over to the man and just lays down next to him, implying he is still alive. So on top of all this shit, maybe he is Daredevil.
Quite possibly, yeah. So
Josh,
Don't Breathe 3, 5 years from now.
In our Don't Breathe episode, Josh called him Rapey Daredevil, and that's all I've been able to see him as now.
That's totally fair, yeah.
Ugh. You think there's going to be a 3?
I guess so. We missed that post-credit scene because we left. Because right when it ended, we were like, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, we were ready to go.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit through the credits of this piece of shit.
No, it's not a good enough movie to have that. You know, it's not. I didn't just fucking watch, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I watched Don't Breathe 2. Come on.
I'm not itching for more right now.
Yeah. Fuck.
Goddamn. So it's a 6 for you as well?
Yeah, I'll call it a 6. Yeah, for now. I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd. 6 out of 10. Yeah, just kind of whatever. Again, if you're really bored on like a Wednesday or Thursday night or something, and you're just kind of like, oh, I'll fuck around on my laptop or something and watch a movie that has some okay kills, go for this one. But don't set aside 2 hours of your day for this. Don't give it that. Don't give it that credit.
Yeah, if you can stream this illegally on your computer, do it that way.
Yeah. Wait to rent it. Yeah, whatever.
Go see Free Guy and Respect. But Don't Breathe 2, you can, go watch that at a friend's house who has like a, dark web hard drive or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. Next week's show is going to be loaded. Our confirmed releases for this Friday are Reminiscence in theaters and HBO Max, The Protege in theaters, Demonic in theaters. I almost read that as Dominic. Thank God I stopped myself. Flag Day in theaters, The Night House in theaters, and Annette on Prime Video. Damn. I have a feeling most of these are going to suck.
Yeah, they don't sound like titles that I am anticipating greatly.
Putting a lot of hope on Demonic. Neil Blomkamp's secret movie, his comeback looks kind of freaky, like The Exorcist meets The Matrix. I think this is going to be cool. I want it to be cool. So that's what I'm banking on. Reminiscence, I don't know. I was not a fan of Westworld's second season, and this is from the same people. So I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be very hit or miss.
Yeah. And The Protege, I've seen at least 5 times this year. Flag Day looks like it could be kind of sappy, not getting great reviews. It's got like a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes already. And The Night House, I don't like the title. I like the concept, not a fan of the title. Sounds like, back of the horror section in like 1994 Blockbuster.
Yeah. And only 1994. Yeah.
Yeah. Did not last. Somebody lost the tape. But it could be good. And then Annette just looks weird as fuck. Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard in like a ethereal stand-up comic opera relationship. I don't know. It sounds right up your alley.
Yeah, that's the one I'm definitely trying to find my way to this weekend. Yeah. This upcoming weekend. That's the one that anything Adam Driver kind of shows up and I'm kind of I'm on board for, because I haven't been let down very much, even in movies that I'm not crazy about, like Don Quixote. Yeah. I thought he was awesome in that. He just doesn't. He brings it every time, whether it's action, comedy, genre films. He's awesome.
Well, he's got 3 potential shots at an Oscar this year. He's got Annette, he's got The Last Duel, and he's got House of Gucci. I mean, he is really, picking some good scripts this year, it seems like. So,
oh yeah, he's already worked with so many incredible filmmakers. It's bonkers. The list that he's put together, and he's not even 40 yet. It's really crazy.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, tune in next Monday to hear us talk about more 2021 releases. Also, don't miss the 150th episode of the Filmgazm podcast on Wednesday, where the whole team will be diving into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So looking forward to that. 150 to just reminisce with the boys and dig into this potentially still shitty horror movie.
Yeah, we'll see. It's been a while since I've seen it, but last time I watched it, the only time I watched it, I did not have fun.
Yep, same.
So we will see. Mostly looking forward to just having our first episode with everybody on. Yeah. Me, you, Caleb, and Josh. So that'll be really cool either way.
In fact, I want to point out just real quick, when I watched Texas Chainsaw 2, I was actively pissed off at members of my family for recommending it to me. Like, that's how much I hated it. I was like, how dare you? You lied to me. You said this was good.
That's great.
So yeah, ought to be a very divisive episode and just a fun time. And also don't miss the 1942 Oscar-winning musical Yankee Doodle Dandy on Oscar Sunday.
Yes, that's going to be a great episode. Got a huge project to put with that episode. That whole episode is just going to be a fucking blast. Talking about James Cagney, talking about best actor wins. It's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. That'll be fun. Have a great week, everyone, and keep watching movies.